What's going on, guys? It's the Infinity Blerd, your friendly neighborhood nerd and movie buff, currently available on all podcast platforms and YouTube. Here to talk about the dichotomy of how Jonathan Majors and Ezra Miller are being treated amongst Hollywood and the media. So let's get into it. So I'm not here to judge any of the actors for what's going on, aside from my personal experience with one of them. But I'm just, you know, reporting what's been going on, and all I can speak about is how I'm witnessing them being treated in the media. So here we have Ezra Miller, who got in trouble for a slew of things. Apparently on video, he was choking out someone. He was charged allegedly for assaulting an old lady at a karaoke bar, throwing a chair at her, wrestling style. What else? You have him apparently stealing a bottle of liquor in someone's house, breaking and entering. And then allegedly they couldn't find him for a while, and he was held out somewhere with a 25-year-old mom and their 3 kids in quote-unquote dangerous conditions. Allegedly there was, drugs and guns and all sorts of buck wild stuff, okay? So come to find out, this is after he shot the Flash. Then he miraculously disappears, okay? You don't hear about any of this stuff anymore. Then he comes out, or his people release a statement that, okay, Ezra is working towards getting back to normal. He's having a lot of mental issues and is working on those mental issues. Conveniently, around that time, apparently they were doing Flash reshoots. Okay, now why am I bringing up the Flash? Because it seems that WB is going out of their way to kind of quell what's going on and kind of make sure everybody feels bad for Ezra, because right now they're the golden goose. We have Flashpoint coming out, and Flashpoint is essentially going to be a reboot of the DC Cinematic Universe, okay? If they can't get this right, it's a wrap for them. It's going to be very unlikely that they'll get the momentum that they need to go into, James Gunn's new universe. So in the Flashpoint comics and the movie, what happens is that he messes up the timeline so bad that he just runs essentially into another timeline. And so it's a perfect vehicle to reboot everything. So apparently after he went crazy, they started doing reshoots. My theory is that he might not come back as an actor, and that he's going to go towards the end of the movie, he's going to run into Speed Force, and when he comes back and reboots the universe, I think they're going to recast him. So I think that's why they brought him back, and they said we need to figure out a way for him to pass the baton onto another actor, because right now, the heat is a little too much on him. So they revealed a screening of The Flash on CinemaCon, and it's just rave reviews, and everybody's just praising him. Like, I was rarely seeing anything negative about him in the media, and maybe just a few things in the comments section, but it's just all this praise is being given to Ezra Miller, and people aren't really talking about what the potentially dangerous things that he did allegedly, okay? And I find it very odd versus what's going on with Jonathan Majors, where they're just trashing him. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say all these things are allegations, okay? And they aren't true. I met the dude twice, and every interaction was odd, okay? The first one was quite inappropriate. Let me jump into it. So he was promoting this movie called The Stanford Experiment, and he was doing a Q&A at the Apple Soho store. So I went there. I asked a question. I asked a filmmaking question at the Q&A, because I always like to get my questions off and whatnot. And After that, I had him sign, I think, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Got my picture with him and some of the other actors. And so after that, I went to the bathroom to go. And then when I came back out, I was waiting for a friend in the bathroom. Somebody pokes me in my side. Okay? So I'm thinking maybe it's a friend I know who went to the Q&A as well. I'm thinking, oh yeah, it has to be somebody I know, because who else would poke me in the side? It's Ezra Miller. I was like, whoa. He's like, hey man. I was like, hey. He was like, oh man, I really like that question you asked. I'm shocked. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, man. And then he opens up his arms like this. And I'm like, okay, I think dude wants a hug. I'm just trying to give him one of these hugs. He's like, bring it in. Okay. So I try to give him, I try to give him one of those pound hugs, like real quick. And then he kind of like grabs me and like lingers there for a minute. And I'm like, man, so I break out. And I was like, all right, cool, man. And I pulled a flash. I dipped out of there, man. It was crazy, man. So that was just the first time, all right? So the second encounter with Ezra, okay? It was at Ace Comic-Con. All the Justice League members except for Ben Affleck were there, doing group photo ops and signing stuff. It was a cool event. And so he comes in and everybody's online to get their signatures or whatever. And I see him smacking his hand. People in front of me. I was with my friend Adam. Shouts out to Adam. And we were like, whoa, what's going on here? So he signs it and he's like, oh man, you want me to make it look like the signature's coming off the Speed Force? I was like, huh? And he just smacks the signature. Just smudges the shit out of it. I was like, what the hell? Did it to my friend too. We're like, whoa. So I don't know if maybe he was upset about the circumstances of the convention, and he was just trying to smudge everybody's signatures so they were devalued, or if he genuinely thought that would be dope if he gave me some crusty ass smudged signature. Like, yo, what is going on here? Okay, so that was my two encounters. So first time dude wasn't appropriate, and it seemed like the second time he wasn't thinking clearly. Okay, so you gotta assume if I'm like adding all this up, at least some of the stuff has to be true. And Warner Brothers didn't really deny it, because they just said, oh yeah, he's working on it himself, and that's it. Okay, they're promoting the movie, everybody's hyped about it. Okay, in the new trailers they're making it more Michael Keaton oriented, probably to get the heat away from him and stuff, but everybody's praising it, everybody's defending him. Okay, now you have Jonathan Majors. Okay, a few weeks ago, we come to find out that he's been arrested for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend. Okay, so he was arrested. Apparently they were going to a party in Brooklyn, and she was trying to check out his phone. Might have been doing something unsavory, and he allegedly choked her. Okay, now he was arrested, and then a few days later she dropped the charges, and and whatever. People who are abused drop charges all the time. Okay, so that's how it is. Okay, but then his lawyer, dumbass lawyer, released a text like hoping that it'll make Jonathan Majors look good, and instead it's like, I told him, they asked me what strangulation was, and I said that's not it, and anyway, I'm gonna make sure they drop the charges. I'm gonna let them know that it was my fault. I shouldn't have touched your phone. Whoa, that doesn't sound right. Whoa, sounds like she's blaming herself for allegedly getting abused or whatever. So that doesn't look good. But anyway, before all that happened, you hear people dropping him. His management, his agents are dropping him and stuff. And that's so I didn't see any articles about them dropping Ezra. I didn't see anything going on with that. What's the deal? Okay, he's currently supposed to go to court, I think around like May 18th, and that amount of time he was dropped from, he was doing um, army commercials. They dropped him from that. People are dropping him like a hot potato left and right. Nobody is waiting for any due process. They're just kind of just dropping him. Um, the media is bashing him. Sites like The Root are like, this is why this is horrible, and this is why we just have to believe it. And it's like, man, I'm not saying he didn't do the stuff, but can't we wait for a court case and see what's going on with that? No, they're ready to drop him. And so the whole conversation is that Jonathan Majors is an abuser versus Ezra Miller has mental issues, and we have to make sure that they are doing well, and we have to look out for him, and this movie is amazing, and such, and nobody's giving Jonathan Majors the same courtesies. The black community is very upset about it. People aren't really speaking up about it except for Issa Rae. Shouts out to Issa Rae from Insecure and stuff. She's the only one who's saying, yo, what's going on here? And if you look on black Twitter, like, people are not having it. Yeah, so the whole situation seems odd, and when I say odd, I mean like slightly racist, that in like a week or so, Jonathan Majors' career has been completely destroyed without having an actual court case. And Ezra is, you can see his face in every theater to this day, and people are praising him. The directors coming out speaking up and saying, oh yeah, he's working on himself. James Gunn is like, yeah, he's working on himself. And no one's coming to Jonathan Majors' defense. And when I say defense, like, no one's just saying, well, let's see what happens and let's have him face due process before we, make any judgments ourselves. Anyway, we will see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to lie. The Flash movie does look pretty dope. But my question, if they don't recast him and if he doesn't come out the Speed Force a different actor, if they keep him going forward in the new DC universe, it's going to be a serious problem. Okay? And we'll see what happens with Jonathan Majors. Like I said, the court case will be May 18th. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't make that much of a difference. I mean, because his career is pretty much done anyway. He was dropped from 3 major films. His career is shot. So just to sum things up, I mean, if these guys did abuse people or do wrong things, then they definitely should be held accountable the same way. Not just, throwing Jonathan Majors under the bus and letting Ezra Miller do his thing. He's supposed to be in Loki season 2. I don't know if they're going to delay that. Kind of like how they did with Hawkeye. Oh yeah, y'all forgot about that. They slightly, Hawkeye had a certain production date, and then they delayed it when some allegations came out about Jeremy Renner, and they just waited till the heat died down, and then they just released the series a little bit later, and everything is all hunky-dory, and nobody is really talking about that anymore. He went through some difficult things, and he got injured severely, and we're all happy he's okay and stuff. And once again, they're all allegations, but nobody's facing the repercussions that Jonathan Majors is. Apparently they removed Amber Heard from Aquaman 2, and now it just seems like they just said that so the heat would die down, and apparently she's back in Aquaman 2. Granted, she is a vital part of the Aquaman series. Apparently the premise is that Aquaman and her have a child, Aqualad, so I don't know how he's going to have an immaculate birth, and she's not in the movie, so you need to have her in there. But then they should have reshot it. For all intents and purposes, she's an abuser. She straight up said on tape, I didn't I didn't hit you. I smacked you, Johnny. I didn't hit you. I smacked you. Who's gonna believe Johnny Depp is a victim? I heard the tapes. Unless it was AI or something, it was clearly her. And Warner Brothers also seems to be protecting her. I mean, I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see what happens when the movie is released. Um, but yeah, I just want you guys to tell me what's the difference between Amber Heard, Jeremy Renner, Ezra Miller, and Jonathan Majors. Anyway, I want you guys to tell me what you think in the comments section. If you agree, disagree. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once again, it's your boy, the Infinity Blerd, your friendly neighborhood nerd and movie buff. See you guys soon. Peace.